Okay, in the previous video, we addressed how to find the derivative of a multivariable function, a two-variable function, f of x of t, y of t. And we saw that in this case, we're really interested in the derivative of z with respect to t, but we've got x and y as intermediary variables, both functions dependent on t. So t is our independent variable, z is our dependent variable, and x and y are kind of in the middle, facilitating the chain between z and t. So we're going to create a tree diagram that's going to help us keep track of derivatives. And right now, maybe it's not so difficult, but sometimes when we start adding intermediate variables, or each intermediate variable may be dependent on more than one independent variable, the trees are going to come really handy in keeping track of derivatives. And so first, I'm going to write the dependent variable along the first kind of imaginary column. So here's z. And then we're going to keep track of our intermediary variables or intermediate variables. These are both, in this case, situation x and y, and we have one independent variable, which is t. So we know that a change in z comes from a change in x and a change in y. And because z depends on more than one quantity, the change that comes from x is a partial derivative of z with respect to x. And the change that comes from y is partial derivative of z with respect to y. So we're going to do del z over del y. Now, a change in x comes only from one variable t. A change in y comes from only one variable t, and so the derivatives that we're going to use in the chain rule to represent those changes will be ordinary derivatives, dx dt and dy dt. So probably one of the most important parts of keeping track of a tree diagram like this is understanding that we use ordinary derivatives like derivatives like dx dt, dy dt, when a variable depends on only one quantity. So when a function depends on one variable only. And that's what we used up here for the dependence of y on t and dependence of x on t. Now, we use partial derivatives when a change in a function is caused by more than one variable. So when a function depends on more than one variable. In this example, we used dz dx, dz dy, for instance, and that's because our function depended on two variables. So more than one variable. Now, how does this tree diagram help us write down the chain rule? Well, what we're really interested in here is how z depends on t. And we know that one of the changes in z comes from the x direction. And so we follow our tree diagram here. We follow the x branch and we say, all right, well, that's going to be a partial derivative of z with respect to x times the ordinary derivative of x with respect to t. And that's going to give us the change that z experiences with respect to t, but as x being our intermediate variable. And we're going to write that as partial derivative of z with respect to x times the derivative of x with respect to t. And this is an ordinary derivative because x only depends on t. And of course, we're going to add the contribution from the change in z in the direction of y. So that's going to be plus the partial derivative of z with respect to y. I'm following this branch this time in the tree, times the derivative of y with respect to t. And this will be an ordinary derivative because y depends on t alone. And so that's the chain rule when we have one independent variable and more than one intermediate variable. Let's try an example. So, using this form of the chain rule, let's find dz dt. And notice here that dz dt is an ordinary derivative because z depends on only one independent variable, t. And we're going to find this at the moment when t is equal to pi over 4 for the following function. We'll let z be x squared minus 3y squared plus 20. And now both x and y will depend on t. So x is 2 cosine t, and y is 2 sine t. And since we already drew a diagram for this problem, so I usually would encourage you to draw a tree diagram for every problem, but this is exactly the case that we were dealing with above. So we're going to use the derivative as written in the yellow boxed rectangle. So to find dz dt, we're going to need the rate of change of z with respect to x. We're going to need the ordinary derivative of x with respect to t. We will also need partial derivative of z with respect to y and ordinary derivative of y with respect to t. So, partial derivative of z with respect to x, we're going to look at our function z, and we're thinking of holding y constant. And so this partial, if y is constant, will just be the derivative of x squared, which is 2x. The derivative of negative 3x squared will be 0, and the derivative of 20 will be 0. Now, if we look at x equals cosine t, and we take the derivative of that with respect to t, the derivative of x is just going to be negative 2 sine t. Now let's go back and take the derivative of z again, but this time with respect to y, so we're going to hold x constant. So the derivative of x squared when x is held constant will be 0, and the derivative of negative 3y squared will be negative 6y, and the derivative of 20 is also 0. And so finally, let's take the derivative of dy dt, find the rate of change of y with respect to t, will just be 2 cosine t. All right. Now, we're interested in the derivative specifically at the moment when t is pi over 4. We could plug in t equals pi over 4 now if we want to. And of course, we'd have to change dz dx and del z dy so that they're in terms of t. But I'm going to go ahead and write down the chain rule and write down our rate of change of z with respect to t using what we just found. So we know the partial with respect to x is 2x, and we multiply that by the derivative of x with respect to t, which is negative 2 sine t. And to that, we're going to add the change caused in the change in the direction of y. So that will be a negative 6y, the partial with respect to y, times dy dt, which is 2 cosine t. Now, at the moment when t is pi over 4, let's think about this a little bit. At the moment when t is pi over 4, well, we know x is 2 cosine t, and so x is going to be 2 cosine, I wrote pi over 2, but I meant to say pi over 4. I meant to write pi over 4. 2 cosine of pi over 4. the cosine of pi over 4 is the square root of 2 over 2. So x will be 2 times root 2 over 2, or just root 2. At the same moment, y is 2 sine t. Sine t is also root 2 over 2. So, sine of pi over 4 is root 2 over 2, so this will be 2 times root 2 over 2. So we're also going to get a square root of 2 for the y value when t is pi over 4. All right, so let's go back to our derivative here and put in what we know so far. So we have that dz dt at the moment when t is pi over 4, we will get 2 times x, but we know at that moment the value of x is the square root of 2. We found that here. Times negative 2 times sine t, so that's going to be negative 2 sine of pi over 4, which is root 2 over 2. Then we have plus negative 6y. We know that y, when t is pi over 4, is square root of 2, so that's negative 6 root 2, times 2 times the cosine of pi over 4, or 2 times root 2 over 2. So let's simplify this a little bit and see what we've got. So for the first term, this is going to be a negative value. So it's going to be a negative 4 from 2 times 2 is 4. So we have a negative 4 divided by 2. That's a negative 2. And the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is just 2. So there we're getting a negative 4 plus, and for this second term, we have a negative 12 times the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is 2, and then divided by 2. So that gives us a negative 4 minus 12, because these two cancel, and we get a negative 16. So our derivative of z with respect to t is negative 16 at the moment when t is equal to pi over 4.